Hi everybody, thanks for joining me again. My name's Renee. I'm not wearing a microphone this time because I'm going to change in a moment. Because I'm wearing my finished sweater. Oh, by the way, let me just say first of all, thanks for joining me, either again or for the first time. I really appreciate it. I'll just say, first of all, if you find that you're enjoying the video, please consider pressing like and subscribing so that you can find me again. You know, one of the things I was thinking about over this week was that when I first started watching knitting videos, I was watching a ton of them. And some of them I was like, wow, there was this one particular podcast with 2 people in it, and they were like 3 hours long. And it wasn't the Grocery Girls, because I subscribed, I knew that that was something special, but there were these 2 women I just randomly found, and with these 3-hour videos, and then I never found them again. And because they're 3 hours, they don't record very often. They're not the Grocery Girls. So I think I found them when they eventually did another video, and then I was like, subscribe, I want to find you. And I think it's called, I'll confirm this, but I think it's called A Good Yarn. And if I'm wrong about that, I'll put their channel here, but I will link them down below. I tend to break up their videos into like 2 chunks. They are amazing. I love them. I think they're in Canada. Anyway, yeah, finished sweater, my Flax sweater. I posted this on Instagram. I now have an Instagram account under the same name, Adventure Knits, which I'm loving, and I'll talk about in a second. But I will also, in a minute, run some B-roll. But I put some jeans on just to show you. These are like these are not high-waisted. These are like mid-waisted, and I think I don't know, I'd probably tuck this in. But just to give you an idea of where it's sitting for me, I think the B-roll shows this, but it's got about 2 inches of ease here. And the sleeves, I wanted to talk about the sleeves. There's some ease. I like a nice fitting sleeve, a nicely tapered sleeve. I wouldn't want baggy sleeves. I already feel that I'm doing this mainly because I wear racerback bras. This happens to be a black strap. So I think I'm going to put elastic in the neckline. But anyway, this is Tin Can Knits, by the way. I didn't say, I'm too excited. This is my first sweater. And I'm taking this to Colorado with me. We're leaving for Colorado in a couple days, and it's going to be cool there. We're going to be staying in the mountains near Pikes Peak. So I will be taking it to just pop on whenever. This was made out of all acrylic yarn. I am going to continue at times to try something out by using more affordable yarn. And I really liked this Color Theory yarn. I would definitely use it again. It felt like it acted like yarn. It doesn't feel plastic to me. It doesn't feel squeaky. I do have these holes that I now know are pretty common, especially for beginners. I guess this is where like increases were. And the next time that I do a project like this, I'll look at some videos, but if you have any recommendations on how to eliminate these, they became less obvious after I blocked this. Even though it's acrylic, it did block and fill in some, and I really liked that. I don't feel like it changed in size or anything, but it just made it feel more even. So yeah, by putting in elastic, I feel like maybe the garter stitch pulls it down a little bit because it creates a stretch. I made a couple mistakes up here, but then the rest of it is perfectly fine, and so I don't even notice this. I'm definitely wearing this out in public it's nice and cozy. It's very warm, so I'm going to change out of it, but I'm so happy about it. This was done in the colorway Canyon. Highly recommend this pattern. The only thing is, as a beginner, it was really tricky, and that's why I messed up in the beginning. It was really tricky for me to remember this garter strip until a lot of you had recommended that I mark the beginning and the end of that section with stitch markers to just jog my brain, and that really worked because then it was smooth sailing. I did as much rib as I felt that I needed, and I used just a regular bind off in pattern before I learned about the stretchy bind off, which I love, and I will use whenever I need to on different projects. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go switch out and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. The Flax sweater is a top-down raglan, and you start those garter stripes right away and after doing the collar. And let me just look here. I'm at gauge for this pattern. I'm using a 7 since that is the gauge. I used a US 5 on the neck ribbing. I think, yeah, I used 3 3/4 skeins of yarn. I loved this pattern and I loved the yarn. I've said many times that I actually found the yarn at Hobby Lobby on clearance for $3.13 a skein. So $12 project plus it's a free pattern. Highly recommend. Okay, I am leaving on a trip to Colorado in a few days, so I wanted to just catch you up on things while I was away. Catch you up on projects, and I've cast on a couple new things. So let's get started. Where do I start? I think, speaking of that trip, I'm still working on socks. So what I wanted to do for the trip is I wanted to have, if possible, socks started to a certain point that I could then take on the trip. So what I did was I'm using this Patton's Croy sock yarn that I get at Joann's, and either it's on sale when I get it or I use a coupon. And so it's very inexpensive, but very good quality. It's not super washed. I really love the sponginess of it. And so it's variegated, and this is what I did. I have the opening of the foot on waste yarn. So I did a 2x2 cuff. I think this is about 15 rows or something before I started the heel. And I did the heel, it's just like I think a traditional heel that's in the Crazy Sock Lady 9-inch circular pattern. And then I started the foot so that the foot is started. I have all of the correct number of stitches. This is a 56-inch diameter because I found like that's probably going to be good for me. And then I know that when I put this back on needles, from the start of the heel, I have a measurement of what that 7.5 inches or something, that's good for me before I start the toe. I have a prototype sock that I measured to make sure. So that's one. And then I used the same yarn, and I was right near some green. So I thought maybe if I started with green that it would be the same pattern, but it's not. It's a completely different pattern, but I don't care. These are just going to be, you know, socks that I wear, whatever. I don't care if they match. I'm just glad to be making and practicing socks. So the idea is that I've already started the heel on this, and I get to a certain point on the heel, and I then use 2 9-inch circulars to do more of the flap or something when it gets longer and it just gets more difficult. I don't think I'm going to I was wanting to get the heel done and then have it at this point. So I'd have 2 socks at that point to take with me on the trip. So I could just be knitting on the foot. That's not going to happen. I don't think I'm going to do the heel in time, but that's fine. I'll just take it anyway. That way I can do whichever I want. It doesn't really take up very much room along with this. And that's really what I'm going to do. So I really like, even if I wasn't going away, I really like the idea of like, let's say I was using just regular yarn and it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to match it or anything, but I do really like the feeling of getting this far with a sock and then starting the second one, because you can just always put it on scrap yarn, right? And then it was easy enough to feed it back on the needles when I did that before. So I like having the second one. You know, maybe in reality, I would, on the second one, I would just keep going, I would finish it, and then I would come back and I'd have this all ready to go. I really like that feeling. So that's going to be my way of doing things, I think. So that will be what I'm taking with me, because it's really tiny. And I only have one project bag. This is from many, many years ago. And it's this lovely one. And everything just fits nicely. And I've got my other set of 9-inch circulars. These are Chowgoos. Put them in there. Tuck it in my backpack for on the plane. This is made by Rock Solid Designs. I have no idea if they're still making bags. This was like 10 years ago at a yarn store when I was trying to learn how to knit, but didn't. That's that. Okay, I have my Ravelry here, by the way. Okay, well, oh, I have something else that I'm taking that you haven't seen yet. I don't have this listed on Ravelry because I already have a similar one on Ravelry. You'll see what I mean in a second. This is what I've started. This is my little Sophie scarf. Let me see if I can get the colors. I just got it started. I made a little bit of a flub here, but I think once it's a big scarf, you're not going to notice, because if you're familiar, I have this off the needles because I was just practicing, but this is how, you know, this is a Sophie scarf like halfway. I was just practicing with my pearl Soho yarn. And I'm using these wooden needles now. And I'm using, is it a size 7? Yeah, it's a US size 7. And I'm using my Magpie fibers. The reason this is wound up into a ball instead of a cake is that it got tangled in the Swift thing, and it got really just, oh, it was a mess. I didn't put it on right, and so I ended up hand winding it in the end, and that's why it's a ball. But I'm just going to put this in a bag and take it with me with the instructions, and maybe work on this in the evenings. I'm familiar now with the pattern, familiar enough that I will either work on this on the plane there or back, or work on this in the evening. So those are the two things I'm taking with me that will be very simple to work on, just repetitive motions. There. Okay, let me go back to my projects. Oh, okay. Yeah. This lovely yarn, it wound up really loosely because, again, I was having a day with that Swiffer. I mean, I've wound up stuff before, but I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting enough tension between the Swiffer and the ball winder, even though I'm setting them up in the same exact way. And this is like so loose, but it's done and it's there and it's center pulling. It just isn't connected right now because I cut my yarn based on the pattern. But this is this beautiful Walcot. Do I have? Yeah. Origin yarn. The colorway is Petunia. It's 50% Argentinian Merino, 50% fine Highland wool. It's 210 yards. It's a worsted weight. Feels so good. I'm making the Petite knit Stockholm Slipover. Making a vest out of this. I got this at the Pittsburgh Creative Arts Knitting and Crochet Festival from Yarn Birds. It's a yarn truck that I talked about in my Fiber Festival video. And this is what I have got so far. I'm using a size 7 needle. I have this trapezoid, I guess. So I was told to cut the yarn after you knit all of these rows and increases, make one left, make one right. I'll have some photos that I'll put up, but I got better as I went with the make one left, make one right. I looked at a couple videos. So I think I only have like one gape hole, you know, really that's an issue. But now you pick up 22 stitches on the left side in a way that Petite Knit tells you to, so that when you pick up the stitches on this is the cast on edge, then you're creating my left shoulder, or something like that. You start on the right side, and she gives you, I watched a video on her website on how to cast on correctly on about a cast on edge, to pick up stitches on a cast on edge, and then to start knitting in a way that creates a really seamless join. I'm so happy to watch that video. I'm more confident now. I'm going to do this when I get back, but I'm really happy with the progress that I've made. And this yarn is such a delight to work with. It really is. It's soft, it's stretchy, it's non-superwash. I absolutely love it. I am a big fan of this yarn. I will buy it again. I don't know, it doesn't feel like, I can feel that it's woolly. It doesn't feel prickly when I get done with it. I would like to try it on just against skin after it's washed to see what it feels like, but it is absolutely lovely. So size 7 needle, that was what met gauge after I washed and blocked. When I did my swatch, because I won't have a lot of extra yarn, I left it on the needles. I moved my swatch to the red cable. I washed and blocked it on the needle, and then I measured to get my gauge and my row gauge, and then I unraveled it so that I could just have the yarn. I only have one of these skeins of these balls because I was so upset about how much trouble I was having making these skeins, cakes, that I just left it at this and just said, okay, I'll just try this some other day because I'm messing up. But let me get I want to show all of you, because I have, some of you may not have seen my first video, or my first couple videos, but I want to show you the first vest that I made, because I'm making this one and I'm remembering how clunky that first one was. So I was really hesitant to be making a vest in this really nice yarn, but I feel like I'm in really good hands with Petite Knit. Like the fact that I was able to watch that video and like get confidence because of just the beautiful way that she wants a garment constructed. And so yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident, but let me show you my first vest. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. I'll get myself a little higher so I can show you. This is the Open Trails vest worsted by Ashley Lillis. I chose this pattern because it had a tutorial, can really see where I joined in the yarn there. It's not as obvious in person, but this is Wool Ease yarn in the colorway brown. Do you see the clunky work there? I was using my wooden needles because that's what I had at the time. I hardly understood any of this. I seamed. I have watched other videos since then, but I had to seam shoulders. Oh, this was bottom up, by the way. Yeah, bottom up. It fits. You know, looking at this again, like, yeah, it was clunky. Picking up stitches. Yeah, I did not know how to do that, but it worked out. Oh, by the way, speaking of picking up stitches, so you're picking up from a cast-on edge for the Stockholm, and I was able to do it. I was inspired by Petite's video. I was able to do it for the first time without a crochet hook. Not that you need to ever move away from a crochet hook, but that's how I do it. Pick up stitches and transfer to the needle. But yeah, you had to pick up stitches for this collar, and it was really hard to do that. But yeah, I have no idea why I picked this color, mud brown. I don't know. I would not ever wear this, but I'm keeping it because it's my first garment. But even if you're using, I mean, I really like Wool Ease. I'm going to use it again. I really like it. I think it's a really bargain yarn. It's 20% wool, and it's stretchy and it feels woolly. I really like it. So I'm definitely going to be using this yarn again. But brown for me? Why didn't I pick? I don't know. Don't pick yarn, even if it's a budget project. Don't pick a color that you could care less about. Is my advice. Yeah. So that's that. Let me look at my Ravelry again. I will show you something really quick that I posted on Instagram because it's just fun. It's not on the needles anymore. It's on waste yarn. But I am making my cat Suki a blanket. I know it's not very large. It's not very large. The pearl bumps ended up coming in as a thing because I realized I didn't do, I don't know what I realized. Maybe it was curling a lot. So I'm like, oh, you know what? If I put in a couple pearl bumps and then I did this one sooner than I wanted to. Yeah. And I just did another one. So I think this is, I counted how many stitches this was, and now they'll be this far apart. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's for my cat. And so what happened was when I was making the sweater, she kept laying on my sweater. It's the only project she's ever gone crazy about, like really wanting to lay down on it. So I thought, well, I'll get another skein of the Lion Brand Color Theory yarn. This is the colorway Raisin. I actually wanted to get a color that was close to Canyon. I just didn't want to buy Canyon again. I don't know why. I thought maybe that made a difference for her. She's actually laid on this. Well, it had needles on it on the couch. She's already just kind of kneaded it a little bit and laid on it. I'm so happy about that. So that's my cat blanket. I'm loving it. I think I showed that already, so sorry. I showed that already. The spontaneous cast on. It is the most fun. You may have seen this already on Instagram, but don't mind the ends that I have to weave in. It's the emotional support chicken. I have to build this side next. I am having so much fun with this. These ends are created because you are binding off some things and whatever. I'm using wool ease for the body. I'll talk about that in a second. And then I have a bunch of scraps, not scraps. I have a bunch of little yarn bundles. I think they're 20 grams each from Twice Sheared Sheep. It is their merino wool. I love it. I think it's superwash. And this woolies, I loved the color for this chicken. It's got me back to using woolies again. And the colorway is, where is oatmeal? That makes sense. So this is woolies. I was able to get it on sale, like 40% off or something, because the Lion Brand yarn was not on sale at Joann's when I bought it. I may need just a tiny bit of another skein. I don't know, but I'll figure that out because I'm super happy to be using the Twice Sheared Sheep little bundles. They sell them on their website. Let me get them. I will show them to you. I bought them because I wanted to try out their wool, and for $25 you get all of these little nuggets. This is that color. I don't know what the colors are, but this is very cinnamony, and you get all of these colors. So I'm going to have a lot of fun deciding which other color is going to go in this chicken. Definitely this cream is going to be, yeah, that makes sense to be using that. Will I bring in some of this? I don't know. Oh, this might be the, this looks very, yeah, this looks very fuchsia. I have some leftover, this isn't the leftover, but just to show you the color, I have some leftover Barocco vintage that I'm going to use for the wattle and the crown. But, you know, maybe I end up bringing in a mustard or even a green. I don't know. I think my sister really like fuchsia, might have a part in that. I'm not sure. It's really fun though. It's addictive. It's absolutely addictive. And I'm glad that I can be using, it's so fun to use scraps and to use your own, whatever yarn that you have. These all happen to be the same weight, but I know you can hold things double to match the gauge. And I'm using size 8 needles to get the gauge that I needed. It's all, as you know, garter stitch. It's the most satisfying. So why am I making this? So I attended one of my sister's fitness classes because I want to also become a certified fitness instructor now that I'm retired. And she teaches at a YMCA, and she teaches a lot of silver sneakers programs. And so I went to a circuit class, and it was really fun. Her followers love her. My sister's 10 months older than me. They love to tease her. So they were saying, oh, we're finally meeting the sister that's 10 years younger than you. They have such a great relationship. And my sister has chickens. And when I left there, that won't be the only class I go to. I'm also going to go to her step class, which is also for senior citizens or people that want a low impact class. There's all different people from all walks of life that go to the step class. And while I'm studying for the exam, it's just a lot of fun and it's inspiring. And that's when that emotional support. Oh no, I was watching a video and someone had made an emotional support chicken. I will list that podcast below. She made a video of making the emotional support chicken and did a vlog, and it was so much fun. I just thought, yeah, I'm gonna make one for my sister. So yeah, it's so much fun. I am learning so many skills by making this chicken. What am I learning? Well, I had a little bit of practice with short rows, but found that I got really messed up and I didn't understand short rows, but then German short rows made more sense. So when I see a pattern that does not have German short rows, I know you can convert them to German short rows, but I've looked at videos, I've gotten confused. This has short rows, and she said that in the video, and I had to learn wrap and turn, and that's how you make those things for the tail. Short rows, wrap and turn. So that's all through this pattern. I had to learn, like, so for these things, you are binding off, 8 stitches, and then you keep on, knitting. So you're binding off and then you're knitting, and you have to do a cable cast on, which I think I've done like one other time, but you're doing cable cast on all the time in this project. And so now I am super confident with the cable cast on. Like, there's just so many things. It's so cool. I had to seam these 2 things together. I highly recommend this. I know I'm years late to this thing, but it's going to be so much fun, and I cannot wait to surprise her with it. Okay, that's all. I don't have any acquisitions, and I don't have any future plans yet. I will probably be going to Rhinebeck, so I'm going to scout out some yarn that I want to get there for a sweater. I just want to buy a sweater's quantity. But that's if I go to Rhinebeck. But other than that, please come and tell me in the comments if you've made the emotional support chicken. Please come and connect with me on Instagram. I'm under Adventurer Knits there. Under Ravelry, I'll have this in the description, but I'm under Renee PGH, that stands for Pittsburgh. I love being on Knitting Instagram. It's so cool. I love it. I'm glad I have a separate channel now for it so that I can go back and forth from my Bookstagram, which is the left-handed reader, and Adventurer Knits. It just makes sense. I absolutely love it. So let me know what you're working on, and I will see you probably in a couple of weeks. I'll see you when I get back from my trip. Thanks for joining me again. I really appreciate it. And I'm thinking of doing a knit and chat. I won't be able to like completely look at my knitting the whole time. I won't be able to look into the camera and knit at the same time all the time, but I would like to just knit and be looking at my knitting and look up and chat and things like that. I'd love to do a knit and chat. So if you have any questions, a Q&A while I'm knitting and chatting with all of you, just drop it below and I'll jot them down and keep them for the knit and chat, and we'll have a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've had a wonderful start to the start of the school year, whatever that means for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.